Did you hit start?
I did. Oh my god.
Did you hit start? There we go.
I got that bird stuck in my head.
I hate when that happens.
I got birds stuck in my head.
Thank you for joining us today on the BlueMilk Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything Star Wars related. I'm BJ.
I'm Jacob.
I'm drinking.
And birds. Do we really need them?
We're going to start seeing the birds.
So, what do we got today?
BJ, what do we have today?
Well, so, we mentioned in a previous topic, or in a previous episode, started getting into Darth Bane's history. I believe in the last episode or previous episode, we talked about how Bane kind of came to be noticed by the higher echelon of the Sith Empire, and that he started off like kind of lost in the paperwork of the rank and file.
Yeah.
But because he had the Force and it allowed him to excel and put him into the light. My topic,
so to speak.
Yeah. Not the light side, just spotlight was shined down upon him for everyone to notice. Yeah, he is the chosen one. Before Anakin or Luke.
I keep thinking,
Fuck him.
right now, I keep thinking Bane with a top hat and a cane.
He's doing the dance across the bar, yeah.
Okay.
So that's Bane.
Scary, we're all connected on this episode.
Yeah. But my question stems off of Bane and what he did. My question being, Bane created the rule of two. Was that a correct thing to do?
For score 7 years ago. Yeah. I believe that it was. It was a good rule. It did have it has negatives, but everything has negatives.
What are the negatives?
I mean, the negatives is that you can't have an entire army of Sith take out a Jedi temple. You have two now.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
But that too, even though some people believe that if you only have a master and apprentice, sometimes the apprentice might take out the master, but therefore that apprentice has to be cunning, even if they wait until they're asleep or if they're older and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's still strategy. It's a different type of strategy, but it's a strategy.
Yeah.
The strongest will survive. Therefore, you're taking out the weak. The strongest survive. Done deal. That's what the Rule 2 is pretty much based off of. Okay. So, I think the Rule 2 works. And I think it's correct.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Why?
Because, not getting into Bane's case at all, but it allows for the potential of the apprentice to simply wait for the master to die. Which doesn't mean that the apprentice is any better than the master. So if only the strong survive, only the patient survive.
Okay.
Because the apprentice could be weak, but just stronger than anybody else. And then it starts to dilute the Sith on down the line. I think it'd be wiser to have a larger group so you can pick and choose. Yeah, there's going to be infighting, but there's going to be infighting anyway.
Okay. So, I had this wonderful discussion. When I thought up this topic, I had a wonderful discussion with my roommate about this, and he was making some valid points, just like you two. But I ultimately came to the conclusion that the rule of two is actually a lie.
How so?
Because, yes, they do kind of cloak and dagger the whole rule of two as there's only a master and apprentice. But if you look at it, during Palpatine's time period, there's at least 5 or 6 dark side users that surround him at all times.
Yeah.
So just because they aren't called Sith, they're still trained in the Sith manner. Like Mara Jade. She was the
Emperor's hand.
She was the invisible left hand of the Emperor. She was trained just as rigidly as Vader was to do what she did. She was just trained to do it in a different way. But she wasn't called a Sith simply because the rule of two states you can only have 2. But the thing is if you look at the entire lifespan of Palpatine, he had Darth Maul. While he had Darth Maul, he also had Count Dooku. Because we know in Episode 1, Dooku was the one that was influencing the Trade Federation to blockade Naboo on the orders of Darth Sidious, of Palpatine. So we know that he existed at that time. He wasn't made a Darth. Count Dooku wasn't made a Darth until Maul was killed at the end of Episode 1, and then you see Count Dooku become Darth Tichondrius in...
Wait, what?
Or wait,
Tyrannus.
Tyrannus, sorry. I always think it's Tichondrius. It's Darth Tyrannus. It's probably something else. Regardless.
I'm sorry, it took me off guard.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I don't have all the names correct.
You know, he says that one different every time.
I do. For some reason I have Tichondrius. It sounds better than Tyrannus. It sounds better than Tyrannus, because he's not tyrannical. Count Dooku doesn't do shit. The fact that you don't say no right out means I'm accurate in some way.
You're accurate in some way.
He's never tyrannical in any way. He's literally an errand boy for Palpatine.
So is Vader.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I won't argue that. That's true.
Maul is definitely.
But the thing is Vader isn't called Tyrannus.
No.
It's just Vader. Like, he is the sword of the Emperor. That makes sense, calling him Darth Vader. Calling Count Dooku Darth Tyrannus makes him sound like he's some kind of tyrannical overlord. He's not. He's just an errand boy for the Emperor.
An old one with a nice speaking voice.
Yeah. I mean, he's a cool person. I love the actor, don't get me wrong. And the character is alright in the movies, but I mean, Tichondrius just sounds better than Tyrannus.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, sure. He's about as efficient with his arms as anything else. Anyway. But if you look at the overall, if you look at it all, like, Count Dooku as Darth Tyrannus had Asajj Ventress as his apprentice, while he was also apprenticed to Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Like, there are plenty of examples of them going around the rule of two.
There was also Savage Opress as well.
So, I mean, there are plenty of examples of the so-called Sith of the rule of two going around that rule and essentially just having other people. They just don't call them, like, Sith.
Yeah.
They don't call them Darths. because, Savage Opress didn't have a Darth name. Asajj Ventress didn't have a Darth name. Mara Jade didn't have a Darth name.
Any of the Inquisitors in the Disney canon, they didn't. They were just Inquisitors.
But they were all trained in the Sith manner.
Even more, because they knew how to helicopter with lightsabers.
Yeah, well, that's dumb. But getting back, yeah, he's about to lose his shit. But the thing is I feel like the rule of two was actually, at the time of Bane, made sense because he felt that the strongest wasn't given their rightful place at the top of the ladder. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm the best, therefore I should be acknowledged as the best.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
That's Bane's mentality. And it was at the time of Bane, it wasn't allowed. Because the teacher of the academy had banned the use of the Darth title, and he wasn't.
Well, it wasn't the head dude of the academy. It was Khan himself.
Yeah, but he had banned the use of the Darth. Yeah, he had banned the use of the Darth title overall. He wouldn't allow anyone to use it,
and that's why Bane did it.
Well, Bane did it specifically to say he was the best, because that's what that is. That's what that title means.
Yeah.
But he had banned that, and then Khan, the headmaster of the academy, was believing that if you raise up everyone, then it puts them on par against the Jedi.
Right.
But
to a certain extent, it's true. But the problem is,
the funny thing is,
it is their natural whatever to start fighting with each other, because there is no equal footing when it comes to.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with the Jedi too, because the Jedi rise and fall as the Order as well.
They go about it a little different. They go about it more behind the back type.
But the thing is the Jedi Order also, expands to have a large amount of Jedi in it, but then also collapses. It's happened multiple times in the history, or legacy canon. I mean, in one canon or another, it does have a lot of examples of both the Jedi and the Sith, both starting with very few numbers, growing to be large, and then going back to not a large amount of numbers, and then also growing back. It just seems to, they both seem to fluctuate. On top of that, Bane believed that the Master had, the reason that for the rule of two is there's the Master, who is the strongest, who has all the power, and then there's the apprentice, who craves that power. That's the whole point of the rule of two. But the thing is it is stated in both legacy canon and Disney canon that there is a chosen one of both sides.
Yeah.
That both sides of the Force function the exact same way. That, the rule of two doesn't necessarily seem to be the correct rule simply because one person becomes more powerful than everyone else. Of Bane's time period, he was the chosen one of the dark side. Mm-hmm. He had the capability to utilize the most dark side energy.
So does that make Palpatine a chosen one?
No, it was Anakin at that of the time period of the prequels, and 4, 5, and 6. It was Luke.
No, Palpatine was around before Anakin. So was there no chosen one? Is there always a chosen one? Is there always a break? I don't get
that impression. I feel like sometimes it's just when things happen. The flow, the ebb and flow of the universe.
And if they are a chosen one, then how come they die off? Are they just chosen for a specific thing?
Well, that seems to be the way.
To guide either dark side or light side in a specific direction, and then die off and let shit
or not even die
fall
off.
through, or-
Considering Luke was the chosen one, clearly of 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, Anakin as Darth Vader was still alive, and he was the chosen one of 1, 2, and 3. So, I mean, I guess the Force just chooses what it wants when it wants it.
Or they interpret the Force improperly.
Possibly.
Which is what Mace Windu even said.
Oh, Mace Windu said that the interpretation?
Somewhere in Star Wars, I don't know where, but he says that maybe we got the prophecy wrong. Most likely probably in Clone Wars. But he does say that maybe we got the prophecy wrong. Yeah.
Well, there always seems to be someone that becomes more powerful, like a figurehead, that becomes more influential in either light or dark side, or both, at time periods in the universe.
And it seems like Disney is going along with that for episodes 7, 8, and 9, and they're doing it with Rey and Kylo at the same time.
Yeah.
So they're both chosen ones?
On
Snoke
each
even
perspective,
stated
yeah, that when Kylo raised the power of light side Force user, well,
It's just Snoke thought that Luke would be the one that rises with the light side to fight Kylo, but it wasn't Luke, it was Rey.
Luke rose up with Vader to fight him.
Yeah.
There's always a balance.
Well, it's funny.
Force balance.
Rey was telling me that Luke was essentially Snoke for the light side.
Makes sense. I can see it that way.
Like, Luke was effectively what Snoke was to Kylo. But Luke was that to Rey.
Yeah, Luke didn't quite die like a bitch. Like Snoke did.
A lot of people would disagree. A lot of people don't like the way Luke went out.
I don't like the way he went out, but...
I mean, that
Snoke died
fight
like
was
a bitch.
pretty cool.
Snoke died like a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did. And no questions involving Snoke were answered. Like, no one knows who he actually was, like how he came to be the supreme leader of the First Order.
Plagueis
seems likely, but
But
I don't know if that'll be answered or not.
I'm pretty certain he's not Darth Plagueis.
He's not. He doesn't even look like a moon at all. That's the thing. And Plagueis is a moon.
Not a moon, like the moon.
That's no moon. That's
not a.
No, that's no moon. That's
M-U-U-N.
M-U-U-N?
Yeah.
Okay.
Banking clan. That's what
he's supposed to be?
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like that at all.
Plagueis, yeah, I know. Or, I mean, sorry, Snoke. Yeah. Snoke doesn't look like a moon at all. So, it's not Plagueis.
Yeah, but, like, no one, none of the answers were even, none of the questions were even answered about Snoke.
Which we know.
Like, we don't even have any background at all.
I know.
And even when we had, like, the original trilogy, when Obi-Wan talked about Yoda, he's like, Yoda was the master that trained me. We got something, at least. We didn't know anything about Yoda or anything like that, but at least we got something. Like, he's the one who trained me. He's gonna train you now. Cool. Who's the fuck is Snoke? I got a big ship and I got a big holograph, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't even that cool. I did like his hologram that made him, like, bigger and all that stuff. And he was big, but it still wasn't nothing.
But the rule of two. Yeah, I got that guy. The rule of two, was it the correct... Like, did he correctly state, like, in the creation of it, was it correct?
What he did is when he saw Revan in the hologram, thank you. When he saw the hologram,
I was going to say mailbox.
Yeah. Could have said that.
What he saw that Revan and Malak did a really good thing, that they were able to almost destroy the Republic in KOTOR 1, right?
KOTOR 1, yeah.
Yeah, I've never played the game.
It was actually before that, because KOTOR 1 starts after they've already defeated Revan.
Okay. So yeah, before that, this is between KOTOR 1 and the Mandalorian Wars.
Actually, Revan went to go fight the Mandalorians in the Mandalorian War.
Yes, but this is between, because they don't go dark side until afterwards.
No, they go dark during. It's Revan and Malik and all the Jedi that went to go fight against the Mandalorians in the Mandalorian War.
They go to the unknown region.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, they went and fought them, and it was during that time period that Revan realized that the Jedi Council had failed because they weren't doing what they said they were supposed to do, which was protect the Republic. And then that's when he flipped, and then him and Malik and all the converted Jedi at the time turned and created like this army that turned on the Republic, and then they fought against, because a lot of the like admirals, a lot of the leaders in Malik and Revan's fleet were Republic like admirals that were fighting against the Mandalorians that flipped with Malik and Revan and the Jedi that had fought, and then they turned. But Malik and Revan, the reason they took the Darth name was because they just decided they were going to be Sith. They just took it, because that's generally how the Darth title works.
Yeah, but...
Because that's what Bane took away from them.
I thought what happened is that they met the Emperor, the Sith Emperor...
That was later.
That was later, okay.
Yeah, Revan... that's after KOTOR 1. After KOTOR 1, Revan decides that he is going to... Because canonically, Revan gets converted back to being a Jedi.
Yeah.
At the end of KOTOR 1. And he decides he's going to go fight. He senses there's something out in the unknown region that's coming that needs to be defeated. So he leaves at the end of KOTOR 1 to go to the unknown region. And then that's when he gets captured and imprisoned in a cryopod for 300 years.
And then returns back.
In the Old Republic,
yeah.
The MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. The more you know.
Yeah.
I completely forgot, I think. Oh, so he saw Revan and Malik. He saw Revan and Malik.
Well, he saw Revan. He saw Revan in the holocron.
But then Revan, I believe, explained the whole thing with the master-apprentice type of thing.
The teachings that he had discovered. That Revan had discovered.
So, I mean, he just took it from there. He's like, okay, this needs to be the establishment. This needs to be it. But, I mean, if you saw, like, the MMO...
he seems to put it to a more drastic, because there were Darths that existed prior to KOTOR 1, prior to Bane. Because, see, the problem that Bane intrinsically saw with his time period was that the strong were not allowed to excel within the structure. The Khan was restricting everyone to try and make everyone rise equally, so that he has an army of strong people instead of like one or two strong people that ultimately might cause the downfall of everything, because they're the tentpole figure that is holding up everything, and if they fall, everything falls. That's what Khan was trying to prevent. That's his mentality. But there's plenty of examples if you go to the Old Republic, the MMO, which takes place after Revan's time but before Bane's time. There is a Sith Empire in that time period, and there are Darths. There's actually a council of Darths that help the Emperor rule. And that's another thing that didn't exist in Bane's time. There was no Emperor or ruling council of Darths that ruled over the Sith Empire. It was pretty much the headmaster and the teachers of the academy that ran the Sith army and navy from the schools on Korriban. Yeah. Like, that's pretty much what ran the Sith Empire at that point.
Brotherhood of Darkness.
Yeah. He didn't call it the Sith Empire. He called it the Brotherhood of Darkness. But yeah, like that's one of the main differences. And I think Bane took the idea of Darths, and I think he took it to an extreme. Because there are plenty of examples prior to him of the Darth system working, and it's just and there being armies. Like, there was the Sith Empire with Marco Ragnos and Nagasato and Ulik Queldrama. Yeah, that's an interesting name. But he was a Jedi, fell, and went back, kind of thing. Similar story.
It does.
Yeah, Jedis. Well, actually, no, I don't think he went back to being a Jedi, but he fell, definitely. But there are plenty of examples prior to Bane's time period. There are examples of the Sith Empire actually being successful in its iteration.
Just look at Malgus during the MMO area. They did the sacking Coruscant and all that stuff.
Well, there's an emperor.
Yeah.
In that time period. There's an emperor and then a ruling council.
That's what I'm saying.
Dark.
They were even actually very successful. They took out Coruscant pretty much.
Well, see, so Bane's also mentality was that he was going to infiltrate. Like, because the Jedi thought they had defeated all of the Sith on... Was it Rasan?
Yeah.
Rasan. It allowed Bane to work under the scenes, like unnoticed, go unnoticed, because the Jedi had believed that all the Sith were defeated.
That was the idea.
That was the idea, and Bane, with the rule of 2, restricted the numbers so that it wasn't like it didn't grow. But the thing is he could have just as easily started an underground school on some rando planet, or he could have gotten followers of, Force users or dark side Force users that he could have utilized.
He could have, but...
And it would have been just as effective, since the Empire, the Sith Empire, before the MMO, had utilized infiltrators to weaken the Republic. So, I mean, they pretty much did the same thing that Bane did. They just did it with more...
Well, Bane wanted to keep a low profile.
Yeah.
So that helped with the rule of 2. I mean, the rule of 2 helped that. Because with only one other person that was aware of your existence, then it was easy to stay under the radar.
Well, the thing is
you could build up your power and learn more and more and more, and then go in and do your damage.
Bane's existence was known by many people. He just wasn't known as Bane.
Yeah.
Like, other people knew who he was. Like, they could point him out and be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. But they would know him by aliases and other names, because he's working essentially with all these...
networking everywhere.
Palpatine did the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, the Bane set up the network of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that could have just as easily been done with multiple.
But it would have been harder to hide the Sith Empire, or the Sith at that point.
How do you know?
A larger group is much harder to hide than 2 people.
Well, how do you know 20 people wouldn't be just as easy to hide as, 2?
There is more of a probability that somebody's going to fuck up and get noticed, and then word's going to get back.
That's technically true, but the thing is that
that's technically true. I said it.
Well, the thing is there
Sith
are plenty
Empire,
of examples after the Rule of 2's creation of the Sith fucking up.
Yeah.
Even with 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before that, even the MMO itself, the Sith Empire was hiding in unknown regions, and they didn't even know about them whatsoever. And it wasn't until the attack on Korriban that they found out that the Sith Empire is back.
Well, Coruscant. It was the sacking of Coruscant, which was the initial... Oh, no.
No, it was the Sith...
They invaded,
when they invaded Korriban to take back their homeworld, that's when they found out. Like, oh shit, the Sith Empire is back. And then they just...
Well, they had an uneasy truce, and then they sacked Coruscant. Because... both sides were pretty much at a Cold War, because the second Coruscant happens during the game, during the MMO, during the story of your character. The sacking of Coruscant, because you visit Coruscant on the Republic side, you visit Coruscant before the sacking, and then the sacking is actually at the very end of the game.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, when you pretty much the base game, that is. There are expansions that go past the sacking, but the actual sacking itself doesn't happen until the very end of the story, where you go to defend your respective side on Coruscant, while the Imperial fleet is in the sky above. There's buildings burning and everything.
But then they go into a Cold War, even a colder war after that. After the second Coruscant, they don't.
Well, after the sacking of Coruscant, they're in an open war. They were very much in a Cold War before that. After that, they're just straight up, there's war.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book I read called Deceived takes place after. You're right, yeah. It takes place after the sacking of Coruscant, and it's about this silent auction about this robot that these robots, they can't be affected by the Force, and so the Sith and the Jedi also, the Republic and the Sith want it, because they want to be able to go against each other. Find out there's an entire world of these robots, and they're actually trying to infiltrate the entire galaxy. And so both the Republic and the Sith Empire join up to take out that planet. Yeah.
There's multiple examples of that actually happening in the MMO as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, they go into like there's like this other weird empire called the Zakulian Empire.
Yeah, the Infinite Empire, right?
Yeah, the Infinite Empire.
Wait, no, not the Infinite Empire. The Infinite Empire is the
Rakatan.
Yeah.
Rakatans, yeah.
Eternal Empire. There we go.
Well, they have the Eternal Fleet.
Yes, okay.
So it's the Zakulian Empire that has the Eternal Fleet.
Got it.
And they are ruled by the Emperor, actually, a reincarnated version of the Emperor. Yeah, apparently he decided his essence didn't need to be where
not
it was.
Palpatine, Sith Empire Emperor.
Yeah, way back in the day, like several thousand years before Palpatine. But
this is all technically Legends too, so this is a great time.
Well, it's in a gray area because it's so far back that Disney's never going to do anything with it. Neither was Lucas, so they just let it go.
BioWare, do it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, which is why they still have the right to actually make Star Wars games, or at least continue the Old Republic. But yeah, no, Zakulian Empire shows up. It's run by a reincarnated version of the Emperor that existed for the Sith Empire during the base game. So, it's weird. But yeah, the Rule of Two didn't exist then, but the Empire functioned. Like, there was an Empire, and there were Darths, and there was, like, academies and everything like that. So it's weird to see that, I actually got to sit down and think, like, is the Rule of Two the correct thing? Because there are plenty of examples after the creation of the Rule of Two where there aren't just two. There's always, like, at least 3, maybe even 4 people at any time that are trained under the Sith manner, but
I don't think they're fully trained, though.
I think they are, because they, like, Asajj Ventress is trained by Tyrannus.
But she's also trained by Mother Talzin as well, which is why she has a little bit more of an extra oomph when it comes to fighting and everything. Yeah, Dooku may have trained her in like how to basically use basic force using powers and whatnot, be able to force choke and everything, and she likes to do that, but after, like, when you force choke and you can do force pushing and everything like that, she doesn't do much after that.
But he's still training her as kind of like his apprentice. He's training her to be his
original thought, but it wasn't Palpatine. And even Palpatine said, she's growing to apprentice, either you need to kill me or you need to kill her. And so Dooku decides to finish her off and done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Palpatine does respect the Rule too. He just
by that point it's been ingrained into the Sith manner.
Yeah, but I mean, for a Sith to break the rules, it makes sense. So I mean, if you're going to break a rule, break the sacred rule of the Rule too. It just makes sense that way.
Well, even Palpatine does the same thing because he had Maul and Count Dooku at the same time.
Yeah, even Vader. Even this is going to the Force Unleashed. He had
Starkiller.
Yeah, Starkiller. He's like, you need, and then the Palpatine realizes, like, yo, you need to kill him, or you need to take me out again, or not again, but you know what I mean. You need to take me out. Yeah. Like, come on, there's no middle ground like this. And so, and then Vader decided in the second one, like, I'm just gonna make clones of you, so that I can have an army of you, and I'm not gonna have an apprentice or anything like that. Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's weird. The first Force Unleashed, I believe, was canonized by Lucas before Disney acquired Star Wars. I believe the first one was. The second one went way out there.
It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the second one, not so much. But the first one, I believe, was canonized because it makes sense for Vader to do that. To have an apprentice or someone that he is teaching so that when he replaces Palpatine, he himself has an apprentice that he can move forward with. So,
and quick little fact, the guy who voiced Starkiller is also the voice of Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels.
yeah.
Sam Witwer. He also voiced Darth Maul in the Solo movie, too. Sam Witwer.
He was in Battlestar Galactica.
Okay. Sure.
He was.
Which one?
The new one. The new one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got to thinking about this, about the rule of two, and whether or not it was actually like a correct thing. Like, did Bane do the right thing by making the rule of two, or could?
So what did you decide?
No, like I think he's ultimately lying to himself about the rule of two. I think at the time he saw what Revan and Malak were doing, and he took it to an extreme. Which seems to be kind of how Sith and Jedi both work, honestly.
Extremes.
Yeah, they work in the extremes. They don't work in the middle ground. They take it one way or the other. So he just saw what Revan and Malak had done, and he decided that's how it needs to be. Because he had this example of the Brotherhood of Darkness at the time that was not good. I mean, even if you compare comparing the Brotherhood of Darkness to the Sith Empire that existed prior to Revan was, or even after Revan, with the MMO, but like having the Sith Empire exist at that point and comparing it to the Brotherhood of Darkness, the Brotherhood of Darkness pales in comparison to the capabilities.
Yeah.
There's just no unified driving force behind it. It just seems to be run by...
There's no patriotism.
No, there is.
But it's not... because everyone's at the same level...
No, there's patriotism. There's no allowance for excellence. That's I think, where the problem was. Is the people that were genuinely strong in capabilities were held back by the superiors because they didn't want star students. They didn't want like one person to essentially lead the pack. They wanted everyone to be on the same footing and moving forward. And I think that's what Bane saw, or that's how Bane perceived it, and why he railed against the Brotherhood of Darkness as strongly as he did, and why he went to the extreme of Rule of Two. Because there's the person that is excelling, the master, and then there is the apprentice who strives to be as good or better than the person who is excelling.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, the Rule of Two is not the right choice, simply because it narrows your perspective. He could have just as easily created a network of dark side users and not called them Sith. Like, he could have not created the Rule of Two. He could have literally just gone off on his own and had a network of dark side users. Like, not necessarily an unspoken rule of a Rule of Two, but like a Rule of One. Like, there's one person who has all the power, and then there are others that you use.
That's great. Great.
But is that the Rule of One, what I just said?
I have no clue.
I don't know if that rule is the same rule as what I'm speaking of, but like, if you were to create a rule, the Rule of One makes more sense from Bane's perspective than the Rule of Two. The Rule of Two seems to be like
narrowing down your options.
Yeah.
Like what DIRK's saying, having a group of them, and then
it's actually a little bit of both of you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the middle ground, I guess, because I kind of agree with both of you on this, but it just seems overall,
because I mean, I
unnecessary.
think it's also part of the master's responsibility that if your apprentice is waiting until you die, you kill that apprentice and find another one.
But if you're dying, if you're in the process of dying,
yeah, but
there's not enough time to train another apprentice.
Most of the time, the masters they.
That's not always true. Complacency can affect everyone.
Bane did realize it, though.
Yeah, he did. He saw the potential for it.
Therefore,
But-
that's why he was trying to preserve
But
himself.
he didn't quite understand where she was going with it. What was her reasoning?
Was that
And he saw the potential, but he wasn't quite sure if that's what she was doing. And in her mind, that's not what she was doing. She kept going back and forth on, well, I could just let him die. But the whole reason she kept him alive was to learn the holocron stuff.
Ultimately, the only reason why she attacked was she felt that Bane had been weakened enough to where she could actually fight him.
Well, yeah, there is that. And he was.
Well, he still won because at
But he
the
was
fight
weakened.
that he was
losing
physically.
the armor, he was weakened.
Physically, but she didn't take into account that his will was just as strong as it always had
Right.
been. Like, mentally, Bane hadn't been weakened. He was still mentally all there. He had all of his facilities, and his will was just as strong, if not stronger, than it was at the beginning of that book series.
Right. But had he gone ahead and killed off Xana immediately and taken on another apprentice,
He wouldn't have had enough time.
there wouldn't have been enough time.
He would have died before the training of the apprentice was even complete.
He was probably, like 40 or so?
Yeah, but the thing is his physically, his body was weakened.
His body
Because
would
of the
have
Orbalisk,
failed.
Yeah, because
armor.
of the
Yeah.
Orbalisk. When he lost his Orbalisk armor.
Smart move, but I don't like the Orbalisk.
Now, to be fair, I mean, it is kind of insinuated that he continued on in Xana.
Right.
Yeah, there's a fan theory that he even continued on, and that's actually Palpatine. Bane is Palpatine.
That's
I'm just saying
I
stretching.
think that's unlikely.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Highly
certain
unlikely.
he probably went on for a really long time. He might have even been Pelagius, honestly, because it fits the mythos of Pelagius, being able to live forever kind of thing, and being able to heal. Like, it fits that. But I think Palpatine definitely
Is
his own person. But it would make sense why Palpatine was such a strict proponent of the Rule of Two, and why the Rule of Two existed for as long as it did, because
Could be, yeah.
there are examples, like, the Sith Empire turns into the Brotherhood of Darkness, so...
And he said, well, the fan theory says that he finally found his chosen apprentice, and it was Vader. He kind of got...
Vader got fucked.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that Vader got both his arms and both his legs and cooked, like, both his arms and legs cut off, and he got cooked by a volcano, greatly diminished his capacities with the Force.
I don't know, this is probably an unspoken thing, but Palpatine was very disappointed in what Vader did on Mustafar, and how he did on Mustafar. And Palpatine always thought that Vader was a failure because of what happened on Mustafar.
Oh yeah. No, that comes across.
He, as much as I like Vader, he was a failure. He should have taken out Obi-Wan then and there.
He didn't have to go over Obi-Wan, he could have gone to the side of Obi-Wan.
Could have gone straight at Obi-Wan. He could have done that fucking corkscrew move. Yeah, with a fucking maybe a different sound effect, hopefully, but yeah, no. He
Yeah, it sounded like a TIE fighter.
Anything better than what Palpatine sounded like, but yeah, no, that he
Palpatine just sounded like an angry old man flying through the air.
Get out my lawn! Damn whippersnappers, get off my lawn!
fucking angry Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino.
Goddamn nips.
There you go. At this point in the episode, that was pretty much the entire episode.
Oh, was it? Oh, we got a little bit of time. Jacob, what's your topic? No, go ahead. What's your topic?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Go ahead. Throw it out there.
You don't remember what it
I
is, or
do
do you have to
know the
look?
So go ahead, do it.
Alright, so the topic is describe all the Star Wars films in the worst possible way.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of time. BJ, would you take us
Fucking
out?
assholes!
Oh yeah, sorry, folks. We started to get into Jacob's topic and
We didn't even start. Fuck you guys.
just hit that time.
Bummer.
Bam!
Oh.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the BlueMilk Podcast, and that you will like, share, subscribe. Be sure to hit the little bell for the notifications over on YouTube, and hashtag thumbs down, as well as hashtag limp for Kennedy. Be sure to check out our sister podcasts over at Real Film Nerds, as well as the Mile High Show. And I hope you have a good day.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
I hope you have a drink.
That too.
Yeah,
Maybe you had a couple while you were watching.
I hope so.
Toodles!
Come to the dark side.